This is Inside the Locker Room, where football isn't just a game, it's a war zone. Every take, unfiltered. Every prediction, ruthless. From Sunday battles to primetime legends. We break down the matchups, the mind games, and the moments that define champions. Fantasy, film, trash talk, all inside the locker room. So if you came for smoke, you're in the fire now.
We're back with another episode of Inside the Locker Room, and this episode is special because relatively we're about to start talking college football. You know, we've been hyping it up all off season. College football is back. It started last week, but this week, week one, we finally got to see a good amount of teams. We saw a good amount of games too. I know LSU and Clemson played, Notre Dame and Miami. Just a lot of good games I can go off the board. But the first game that I want to talk about is, this Colorado game. First Deion's first game without, his boys, Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, Shiloh, without all of his players from the previous 2 years. So just going around the room, Michael, just what was your thoughts on this first Colorado game of the season? Because, sadly, they lost. We all wanted to see them win, but, the season isn't over yet. So just what is your thoughts and opinions on that?
Yeah, the game itself, it was electrifying. It was a well-packed crowd, very loud. It's good to see that Colorado still has that home field advantage effect. The only thing that was kind of like frustrating, kind of disappointing and stuff like that was just, the slow starts of Georgia Tech. They had 2 turnovers, and then, you can't have that in a game especially when you're playing against Deion Sanders in Colorado. Regardless of them struggling, you still have to understand that this is still Deion Sanders / Colorado. They still have a huge impact. They still have a whole lot of talent on that team, offensive-wise and defense. But, I think a lot of Colorado fans can agree me on this. When your defense causes 2 turnovers and your offense does not convert on those turnovers, that can be frustrating, because at the end of the day, it's like the offense just was not clicking. And, Slaughter, he's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong. He's a transfer out of Liberty. I've seen the guy play when he was at Liberty. The guy got an arm. He can move, in a way he kind of reminds you of Bryce Young a little bit. But at the same time, it's just like there were some throws that were kind of off. And then there were times there were just a lot of miscommunication with either the offensive line or just the running backs itself. So there were some struggles with Colorado and Georgia Tech in that game. But in that last 2-minute drive, Deion Sanders had 2 timeouts, and you don't take neither one of them. It's kind of like no one really understands that. And I didn't understand it, because if I have 2 timeouts and my players had to get out of bounds, I'm going to say those 2 timeouts. But if they can't, call the timeout, because you have time to get down the field, do what you need to do. Because this game could have been tied. It's possible, because, like I said, don't sleep on Colorado's offense. They still have a very talented offense. But it was just a lot of misconception in this game, a lot of miscommunication. And the offense just was not clicking when the defense caused 2 turnovers. And then they couldn't stop Georgia Tech's quarterback. The guy had over 154 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
That's wild.
He was destroying Colorado's defense, man. And it was just crazy, because it looked so easy how he was just doing these quarterback read options, and he was just gone like a light. And there just wasn't any kind of change within the defense. It just seemed like they were biting on every single formation that Georgia Tech was running, and that just left open spaces for Georgia Tech quarterback to run. So it was just a lot of struggles in this game, but it was still entertaining, dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I already knew that this season was going to be different from Colorado. It's just, whether you like it or not, this season is going to be different. So it's just going to be something that fans are going to have to get adjusted to. Colorado, they started to trend upwards. If they start to trend downwards, it's just going to be like I just keep saying, it's different. It's not how it was last season. How it was, you lost your best players to the draft or graduation, or they graduated. So this, in my opinion, is like a new, fresh look Colorado offense and defense. And Brandon from Sports Link actually says, "What are your thoughts on Tulane manhandling Northwestern?" Um, I'm kind of glad that they did that, because I'm mad that Northwestern didn't allow Tulane to wear their Katrina jerseys. But their play speaks for it, and they won the game ultimately. I think that Tulane is going to be a top team in the AAC. So there's a team that I wouldn't sleep on, and I think they're a team that can compete for that AAC championship.
Yeah, for sure. Tulane is, first of all, I'm a guy from Louisiana. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm from Louisiana. First of all, don't never, ever disrespect what we're trying to do down here. Because regardless of what jersey Tulane wears, regardless of what any team in Louisiana wears, I can care less if it was Grambling wearing a certain jersey to represent the Hurricane Katrina. You never disrespect that. And I want to give a shout out to Tulane as well, and their head coach down there, Tulane. I think I can't think his name right now, but he said it. He said in the press conference, never disrespect what we're trying to do, because if you disrespect us, we're gonna bite back, and we are. That's how we are down here. So I completely applaud Tulane from taking care of business against Northwestern, because respect is real down here. And if you don't respect us, we can't respect you. But don't expect us to go lightly. So I'm really happy that Tulane took care of business and whooped the mess out of Northwestern. Bottom line.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Brandon, because like I said, I think Tulane has a very high chance of winning the AAC. They've always been just a top team in that conference. And last year Army was one of the top teams in that conference, but they just got upset this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy that it's crazy that college football is back. But the next game that I know everybody wants to talk about is Arch Manning. This is his first season fully starting, and they played the number 3 ranked team, Ohio State, and last year's national champions in the Horseshoe, or whatever you call it. And unfortunately they lost 14-7. But I mean, it was a lot of talks about Arch Manning. It was a lot of talks about just that Texas team in general. And I'm just going to be the first one to say this. I don't agree with preseason power rankings. I know me and Adam were talking about it, like how they just be all over the place. I don't think that Texas should have never been ranked number 1. But I will say this for Arch Manning, because he did not look the best. It's not nothing to say against that. He didn't look the best, but I give him benefit of the doubt, because you're playing away. You're playing in the defending national champion stadium. You're playing against Ohio State that already has an amazing defense. Now, hey, that doesn't mean that Arch Manning does not need to fix some inconsistencies, because I mean, he did not look good throwing the ball. There was times where he would be holding the ball too long. He threw a pick in the first half. He almost threw 2 in the second half. I believe 1 got called back. So it at times it just looked like Arch Manning just looked very inconsistent out there. But just going around, anybody just wants to pick up the mic and just give their takes on this Ohio State Texas game.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. I'll focus on some of the positives, because he's still a young man. It's one of his first games starting. I think he's only coming on for relief for Quinn Ewers a couple times. He did look really nice running the ball. There was one play in particular where he was able to get around the edge. His acceleration was really showed off. And also the ability to make defenders miss. Like, you've never seen that from a Manning quarterback before. Never saw it with Eli or Peyton. They're just seeing how he was able to change his speed and then just accelerate again and then make the defender miss without even doing a spin move or a juke move. Really impressive stuff. So I can see the hype. Obviously he didn't look great throwing the ball, especially in the first half. Just going to run through a few notes that I had throughout the game. Ohio State defense, they played great in the first half. Went to halftime up 7-0. Texas defense, honestly, low key, that was their bright spot as well. To hold Ohio State to just
good. It was a very
they're both
battle.
Exactly. And I can see why Texas is a top 5, or maybe they shouldn't have been 1, but I think they definitely should have been top 5, because that defense is really nice. That's usually what separates a lot of the teams in college football. Like the top teams just have like an NFL caliber defense. But going into going going into the second half, Ohio State had a big stop on fourth down on to keep the goal on the goal line to keep the score at 7-0. And it absolutely killed the Texas momentum. Right when they were about to start getting something going, Arch Manning was looking pretty good, and then they just completely just killed the momentum. Julian Sayin, he was also making his first start, redshirt freshman. He looked nice. He looked really, really solid. He had a touchdown to Carnell Tate in the fourth quarter that put him up 14-0. At that point, it just didn't look like it was Texas night. But Arch did put together a drive, and he was able to score a touchdown later. But he had a bad throw on third down in the red zone in the fourth quarter. But then made up for with a nice throw on 4th and 3. Unfortunately, his wide receiver Livingstone did not catch the ball. So then they turned it over on downs. But then he was able to come back a little bit later in the fourth quarter and get that touchdown to Livingstone. So, I mean, all in all, it was a one-score game. You lost to a top 3 team by 1 touchdown. I'm not ready. I'm not going to, like, hit all the alarm bells like a lot of other people are. Arch Manning, to me, is still the exact same prospect he was. It's his first game. There's a lot of pressure on him. And like he didn't play that terrible. And like you said before, Deuce, he was playing against one of the best defenses in the nation. So yeah, I still have high hopes for him, but I really enjoyed the game overall.
And I mean, I'm just gonna say this. I like how you mentioned that they couldn't convert on that fourth down. That became the story of most of the game because I think I watched about 3 or 4 times where Texas went for it on fourth down and just did not convert. I believe they went for it once in the red zone and they didn't convert. So I just think coming into next week, there could have been better play calling, chances where you kick the ball, you punt it, or, you just kick the field goal. But like you said, Adam, I wouldn't jump the gun too much. It's still a full season ahead of them. This was week 1. It's fortunate that they had to play the best team, in my opinion, in college football week 1. But I think Texas, despite the inconsistencies, like their defense showed flashes.
For sure.
Flashing. I think Texas just has one of the best defenses in the league. It's going to be interesting to see how Arch performs. I still think he's going to be a great quarterback. I mean, I know I was texting this college football group chat, and I did get my 2 cents. I said he doesn't look the best right now, but I wouldn't be so alarmed, to just count him out and say he isn't good, because I know Arch Manning wasn't a 5-star for no reason. And last year and the year before that, he's shown his flashes. Now, the one thing I will say is, with the being the number 1 overall pick and the Heisman winner, just to kind of slow down on that, because I kind of think that they have these high expectations for Arch Manning, and we forget that this is his full season first starting. So we still have to see how he progresses through the year, because we don't know. He could just not live up to the hype, but he very much well could live up to hype. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I just don't agree with how some people are just so quick to call him the Heisman favorite or the overall number 1 pick favorite when we just haven't seen a full season of him. Ben, do you got any takes on that?
Yeah, I mean, you guys all pretty much rounded it up all nicely. Like we said, Ohio State, should have been ranked number 1, arguably, to some people. But yeah, and it's pretty much relatable to the other game as well that we had between Miami and Notre Dame that went on following day afterwards, because we had a higher ranked school being favored over Miami being Notre Dame, but Miami ultimately being the one that takes the cake. And that game ended on a late field goal. But you could argue for that game as well that the reason that Miami came on top of Notre Dame was because they had the more, quote unquote experienced quarterback. Because Carson Beck's been in the NCAA for like 12 years now at this point.
Yeah,
so
let's say he's been around forever.
Yeah, so arguably you could say that's why it helped Miami's case. But big plays from defenses all weekend. We also saw Florida State and Alabama go at it, and also Clemson and LSU was a really good one as well. I feel like for the Clemson and LSU game, that game was more of a kind of like defensive battle between 2 teams. Lots of fumbles thrown in there, and then also we got to see Newsomeyer get in the mix there. Finally, arguably Heisman, candidate for this year. Deuce or
Definitely.
anybody here? Do you guys want to talk a little bit about Nussmeier and some LSU here?
I'll just say this real quick because I know Michael. I know Michael probably best at talking about this LSU game, but I'm gonna just say this. I wrote it down. LSU's defense most definitely was in the main factor for why they won that game. Clemson did jump out to an early lead. They did jump out to an early lead, but I think eventually the LSU's defense locked in. I mean, LSU's defense, in my opinion, was there from the jump, but they kind of really took that step forward going into the second half. They limited Cade Klubnik, who's also another Heisman candidate, to 19 for 38 and 230 passing yards and 1 interception. And they really took the run game away from Clemson. They only allowed them for 31 yards on the rushing attack. So that is very, very a very huge win, a very huge reason for why they were able to get that win. It looked close, but in my opinion, I just think LSU was just a better team from the jump. I think Clemson just got very lucky with how they were able to strike the board first. But like you said, Garrett Nussmeier, he looks incredible in my opinion. 28 for 38, 230 yards, 1 touchdown. He is most definitely a player that I would say, just y'all really got to keep an eye on him. And he made he made a name for himself last year. This year, I believe that he's going to take that step up, and he is a favorite to win Heisman Trophy. But Michael, do you just got any talks on LSU?
Yeah, man. I think this game really determined who's the real Death Valley in this game, because there's been a lot of trash talk between Clemson and LSU about who's the real Death Valley, who has the most anticipated crowd noise. And I'm just gonna tell you now, ain't no Death Valley like LSU. I'm just gonna go and tell you that now. Ain't no Death Valley like Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm telling you.
They went into Clemson and beat them. Okay, LSU got all the bragging rights for the next year.
For sure.
Yeah, so let's keep it a book. Let's keep it a book now. Like, with all due respect, you gotta give respect to Clemson. They played their tails off in that game. I knew that game was gonna be close. I didn't think it was gonna be this low scoring, but it's kind of exciting to see. LSU's defense, man, you gotta give them a round of applause because Deuce, you talked about this.
Yeah, we did talk about it a few weeks ago.
Yeah, how was LSU's defense gonna perform this year? Have they upgraded? Have they progressed? Has there been any improvement? And this game here, it's just game one. I know it's just game one, but you got to take this game and just see that, okay, this defense is going in the right direction. Plus the offense.
The offense, yes, they looked better overall. Offensively.
Exactly. It looked better overall. And
that's why I said at first, Clemson may have had that lead, but I still think that LSU just looked better on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively.
But Deuce, let me ask y'all all this question right quick. And this question just came in my head. In college football, what is the rule of a touchdown pass? A touchdown call. If the receiver catches the ball and he has
that play
over the pylon, is that not considered a touchdown? I just want to make sure that my football knowledge ain't going.
For me, it's like as long as it crosses the plane, it touches the pylon, you got possession.
It depends if like you're running from like 20 yards out and you're going for like the corner pylon and you take out the pylon and like the ball's on the like if you're on the left side of the field and the ball's in your right hand, yeah, it's gonna be a touchdown every time. But sometimes the distinction of it being like if you have the ball in your left hand, like the little subtleties can make a difference.
Like the little things it's the little things.
Game of inches.
It's a game of, and it's just weird because a lot of people are gonna have their opinions on it. Some people are gonna say, some people agree. Some people will say if the ball is out of bounds, but your body's in bounds, it shouldn't be a touchdown. But some people will say if your body's in bounds and you have possession of the ball, it's going to be a touchdown. So, a lot of people just have their opinions on what a touchdown is. But you got to go by off what the rules state. And if you have possession of it and you're inbound, your body's inbounds, that's a touchdown.
Touchdown. That's why I was saying, as long as the receiver has one control of the ball going all the way down, right? Number two, if he has only 1 foot in bounds, okay, this ain't the NFL. If he got 1 foot in bounds,
yep, you only need one.
Yep.
Point blank. Period. But like I said, that's the rule. That's the rule of college football. In reality, of course, people gonna have their different opinions, and that's fine. And I know Cleveland fans are gonna say, no, that was not a touchdown. I understand. Y'all lost. Y'all a little upset. I understand. But a touchdown is a touchdown at the end of the day. I'm just going by the rules here, okay? I'm not trying people.
Are you talking about the play where he scored a touchdown, or it should have been a touchdown and then ended up going to the ground like super duper late, and then they ruled no touch? Because like I remember the rules officiator coming on and being like, "Oh yeah, I would have ruled that a touchdown." Like it was a touchdown right there.
Yeah.
And then it's because it's such a. I mean, you got to like make the call on your like in your own head almost as a referee. Like, is the play over right here, or and then like then he gets wrestled down to the ground like 10 seconds later. It's like
that's why I would say the referees. I think they got the hardest job because you're gonna make one half happy and you're gonna make the other half dividend mad. So that just comes with the job of being a ref.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm gonna sum all this up here. But in reality, you really cannot account. You really can't count on the officials to make the right call. That's just in reality, because in games like the LSU and Clemson game, I can go back in history, back in 2018 when the Saints played the Rams and they missed the pass interference call. Like, you just cannot count on these officials to make the right calls, regardless of how we see it, regardless of how many times they replay it. You kind of have to just be on guard to be like, okay, what they finna call, regardless of they review it, regardless if a quarterback, not quarterback, if your head coach throws a challenge flag and be like, hey, look back at that again, it's not going to change, because in reality, what these officials see might not be what we see. And
they're not always gonna make the right call either. You know what they think, like you said, what they think is right may not be right. People, they're not perfect. We want to hold officials to the highest standards because they're officiating the game. But I always got to think and look like they make mistakes too. And as much as I hate it, it just happens.
Yeah.
No, it definitely does.
And
but go ahead.
The most dominant thing about this game was the defense performance. And, LSU able to hold Clemson's offense to just 10 points, regardless of whoever. Clemson still has a talented offense, without a doubt. I wrote this down: 1, control of the game; 2, stopping the run; 3, opportunistic plays; and 4, just strategic adjustments. And this game was just one of the best, in my opinion, in what we saw this weekend. I think LSU is on the path to become a threat, not just in the SEC, but possibly in the college football playoff dues. But if LSU can continue to keep doing what they did in this game, then we could be seeing an LSU team that we have not seen in the past 2 or 3 seasons, bro. Like, I'm just going to keep LSU something to look out for.
And I mean, keeping this in the SEC, Alabama just lost to Florida State. And I'm going to be the first one to say this. I never thought Alabama should have been ranked number 8. I believe that they were just being overhyped this offseason. It's crazy because, like I told you earlier, I've been debating with Alabama fans all weekend. After they lost, it's like, oh, this team was 9-3 last year. Y'all shouldn't be celebrating. But where was all this when y'all were ranked number 8? But it's crazy when y'all lose to a 2-10 team from last year. All that goes out the window because y'all were 9-3 last year. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I will say this: Alabama, whatever their quarterback's name is, Ty Simpson, and that line, I just don't think it's it. That Florida State defense just was getting past that O-line all afternoon. I mean, like, you would see Ty Simpson, everything. I'm just gonna say Florida State's defense played incredible on all cylinders. They had the matchups perfectly covered, and like I said, Ty Simpson would be trying to find players, and he just couldn't because the match, and that would lead to loss of yards, sacks. But I still think Ty Simpson just isn't it. I also think Kalen DeBoer is just not the quarterback. I'm not the head coach that Alabama needs. He
already has the same amount of losses against ranked teams as Nick Saban did in his entire Alabama career. He's 10-4, and
a different
Nick
era
Saban's like
now for them.
200 and something and 4.
And you you just can't live up to what Nick Saban had the standard of right here of what Alabama should be. And I just don't think that DeBoer is just going to be able to live up to that. We saw this last year when they lost to teams like Oklahoma and Vanderbilt, teams that they don't normally lose to. And I just think this year you start off by losing to FSU, and no offense to FSU, because I do think that y'all have majorly improved. Y'all brought in a lot of players. Y'all kind of revised and defense, but it's just different. It's not the same as it was, last year. So,
Right.
but I just don't think Alabama's going to be able to hang in with these other teams in the SEC. And like you mentioned, Michael, LSU can be a team that you got to watch out for. And it'll be interesting to see when they play each other. I got to look at the schedule if they play each other, but it's going to be interesting to see. But I just don't think Alabama is that team that it once was. But speaking on FSU really quick, their rushing attack looks good. The quarterback play looks good. The receiving play looks good.
I think they were
Offensively and
underranked.
defensively, they look better.
Yeah, they were just Florida State came in with just a physicality that they were hungry for this game. They've had preparations for this game, and I mean
You finished 2-10 last year. If you finished 2-10 last year, I bet for sure you got a chip on your shoulder, and you go and you beat a number 8 team. I don't care if the number 8 team was 9-3. In my opinion, I still don't think they should have been ranked number 8, but they were ranked number 8 by the poll, and you beat them. Fair is fair. FSU is the better team than Alabama. Bama is like I told you, Adam. Bama's probably going to drop out that top 10, come next week, but we don't know because they love to just overrate.
They might drop
Alabama.
They might drop out of the top 20 even. But real quick, you're talking about Kellen DeBoer and how he just doesn't look like he's it. Basically, that's how good Michael Penix was on University of Washington. I mean, he had some very good receivers with him, Roma Dunze, Jalen McMillan, and a few others, Jalen Polk. But he was so good that he got Kellen DeBoer the job at Alabama, and that I'm just excited to see Michael Penix this year because of that. We're seeing how Alabama's just not it anymore. But going back really quick, I had a final thought on Texas. So I mean, think about Arch Manning and how he doesn't have Matthew Golden, first-round draft pick. Now he's on the Green Bay Packers. It's going to be probably their wide receiver 1. He's gone. Isaiah Bond, also, he's gone as well. He's now going to be, he's on the Cleveland Browns. He's probably going to be like their wide receiver 2. So he's missed, I was just kind of learning about the Livingstone guy a little bit, who clearly looked like his number 1 target, but he doesn't have the same weapons that Quinn Ewers had last year. So I'm not making excuses for him, but I think he'll round into form. My thoughts on LSU versus Clemson real quick. I think that win, it was the biggest win for Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly left Notre Dame and then they made it to the national championship game after he left. And he was trying to go to LSU because he wanted to win a national championship and has been seeking it for so long. So it was a huge win for him to start the season like this. Like you guys said, I think they could be college football playoff contenders now. Nussmeier looked good. His one flaw last year was he didn't play mistake free. But he played mistake free in this game, even against a very good defense in Clemson, number 4 ranked team. Nussmeier, that he just cleaned it up. He didn't throw 4 touchdowns. He didn't throw for 350 yards, but he did exactly what he needed to win. Kind of similar to Josh Allen, and how Josh Allen switched his game this last year, and just always looked for the receiver, the open receiver versus forcing it to Stefon Diggs and some other guys in the past. So I think that's a huge step forward for him. And I think Clemson's going to bounce back. I still think they're a really good team. So I think it's a bigger win for LSU than anything else.
The craziest part is I still think Clemson's going to make the ACC championship, just because, Clemson's just always been that team. Them, SMU, and in my opinion, if FSU keeps playing the same way they've been playing or how they played against Alabama, those 3 teams could be a team to make a name for themselves to go as a top team in the ACC.
I think
exactly. And Clemson has to play one more game out of the ACC. I think it's another SEC game. And then they get to play, I think, 8 straight ACC games. So I think they're going to round into form, and I think they're going to be okay. Go ahead, Michael. I think I cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're good, bro. I think in the ACC, it's going to come down to who has the most losses in the ACC conference because you got FSU, you got Clemson. It's when those two guys play, I think it's really going to come down to if they are in the same division, then it's gonna come down to whoever wins that game, or if Clemson can adjust. I think Clemson's gonna adjust because it's just game one. There was a lot of struggles
Yeah.
for some teams in this game. As a matter of fact, I want to touch base on that Archie Manning situation. Look, reality, he's a freshman. Okay, reality, yes, he was a talented quarterback in high school, without a doubt. Yes, he has a good resume behind him. He's part of the Manning family, and that's good. And that family is always important, especially whatever you're coming from. But at the same time, I just don't think. I think the hype was just too much, and I blame the media for that because a lot of people, they look at the media and the media hypes these guys up. The media, y'all know how the media works. And that's why I say all the time, I don't pay attention to the media. I can care less how big a player is, what recruit he came in. I can care less about any of that because I say this all the time. At the end of the day, it's not about the recruit number that he came in or how many stars he has. It's about how he can play game in and game out, regardless if he's a freshman, regardless if he's a sophomore, junior, senior. It doesn't matter. The point is, how can he play? And of course, Archie Manning was going to struggle in this game because it's his first start. He's going to adjust. This is just the first game. He was playing against Ohio State, one of the best college football teams, top 5 teams in college football today. So you have to take it slow with him. You have to take it slow with these guys that are just freshmen because it's different. You have to let these guys get warmed up. Let these guys, learn more and more as this game goes along. So I'm not surprised that the struggle was real for Archie Manning and that the struggle was real for Texas. Do I think they should be ranked number 1? No, because Archie Manning is just week 1 start. This is his first career start.
Well, I'm gonna say this.
For the preseason poll, it doesn't matter.
And in the games he did play last year, it wasn't teams like Ohio State. It was teams like University of Texas and San Antonio, these smaller G5 schools.
That's what I just said.
Which is even more sad for Quinn Ewers because he got benched in those games.
So it's just like you go from playing these smaller schools. So your first full season start is you're playing the Ohio State national champions at their stadium. So it's just, in my opinion, it's just, these other schools play, like Florida, for instance, they play all these smaller schools week 1. And it's just a bummer that they just got matched up with the defending national champions. And I was saying this before, a lot of people said, oh, this game should have been on prime time. It kind of proved why it shouldn't have been on prime time and that it kind of fit the Fox noon kickoff game. But I'm not saying that Arch Manning is going to be a bad quarterback, because I got very high hopes for him. I want him to succeed. I want him to go to the draft. I want him to get drafted by a team, and I want him to live, that legacy that, Peyton Manning did, Eli Manning did, Archie Manning did. So I would say this: do not count him out. We said that about Shedeur Sanders. Do not count him out because there's always more in the picture for these players.
Exactly, and I'm gonna say this, because I just realized that he did play last year with Texas. Even, but like I said, regardless if he's a sophomore, junior, or senior, he's gonna get drafted. I mean, I'm just gonna say this now, and I'm not saying this because of his last name. I'm not saying because of his resume in high school. I'm saying that because he has potential to be a top 5 quarterback in the draft. He has the potential. This is his first full season, so he's going to learn that's like in the NFL. You're going to learn. This is a learning sport. Regardless of what position you play, it's a learning sport. So Archie Manning, look, he still has time. This game here was just a test for him. So now, now that he knows how it is, he's going to learn from this. And it's up to the coaching staff. It's up to his quarterback coach, whoever that is, to walk through the field with him and transfer that into practice. Like they always say, practice makes perfect. I believe that. So that's just the way it's going to determine. He's going to get better game in and game out. This is just game 1. So I wouldn't be if he just makes bigger impact than this week 1 game. It's going to happen. He's going to be a quarterback in the draft. There's just no doubt about it. But he still needs time to learn. And I know that's an early prediction, but I can't take away this guy's talent. This guy has talent.
He's too talented. I think he was already leaning towards probably staying in school, and I know this is just game 1, but I think after watching game 1, he's probably leaning towards staying this full. I mean, he's already going to have this full year, and he's probably going to stay for the extra year. Because if you give this man with like his natural talents, with his running ability, time to hone in the passing, and it's really just like playing on time, playing on rhythm, trusting your teammates as well. Because I think if he had a Matthew Golden or Isaiah Bond, we would have been looking at a very different game. Honestly, but I think he's still going to be a really good prospect. I just think we're going to end up waiting until 2027 for him to get drafted, and he might still be the first overall pick. But
I've been very high on him that I say he needs to stay another year. I tell people this all the time.
I think he wants to too.
Yeah, he may have came out and said like, hey, my grandfather didn't say what he said is just not true. But I think deep down, Arch Manning knows if what's best for my draft stock and what's just best for me, I would stay another year at Texas. And I would stay another year and develop, because I still think that, hey, if he doesn't have a good season this year, or if he just has, an above average season, he can always come back next year and just do even better with this team. He's finally getting comfortable in that starting position. Quentin Ewing got he had, I believe, 2 or 3 years in that starting Texas offense.
Yep.
You got to give Arch Manning some time. He is still young. Young people make young. They're not the best yet. They still make mistakes. They still have these little screw ups. I'm very high on Arch Manning. I've always been high on him.
To me, I just throw the first game out. But just throwing out my thoughts for Alabama, Florida State real quick. I know you guys touched. I just agree with you guys that Alabama got blown out of the water. They're probably overranked. FSU is probably underranked. But really what I want to get into is like the headlines of Tommy Castellanos, the FSU quarterback, before the game. He called his shot, said that there was no way Alabama was going to stop him, and then he backed it up. Like he backed it up as well as you could. And now I read this before he went on. He's selling shirts that say Nick can't save them after the blowout win. And I assume, selling and making some money off it. But I think
that quarterback can run. He can run. Let me find it. 16 carries, 78 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yep. Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Dual threat. He can run. He can pass. And he's a quarterback that I actually want to watch. That's a quarterback that can pass the ball, that can run the ball. I don't care.
I think he put the nation on notice. Like I didn't really know much about him. Now everyone knows Tommy Castellanos, the guy that called his shot against Alabama and then just ran through them. Like he didn't do anything flashy passing, 9 of 14, 152 yards, but he didn't throw an interception.
He's followed the game plan and he just made the best of what he got.
He followed it. He stuck with it. That's just what he did. And
100%.
And I'm just gonna say this about Alabama fans. Look, y'all
just hold the L. Alabama fans just gotta hold the L and stop coming.
Yeah.
Let me just call it like it is right here, okay? Y'all got real spoiled in the Nick Saban era. You can't match Nick Saban's greatness, okay? Now I don't care what this guy did, what he did. There's a difference between great and just first time. Nick Saban, he had the head coaching mindset. Okay, he had the head coaching greatness in his mind to know what to do and how and the capabilities of winning. Nick Saban made Alabama even more greater, Heisman Trophy winners. Okay, made Alabama, a tough venue to play at. So now it's just like the times have changed. And I say this all the time, and Deuce, I've said this so many times. When a great player or a coach leaves a team, it is up to the team and the organization to find somebody to continue that greatness onto their next season, because now it's up to Alabama's head coach to continue to elevate Alabama like Nick Saban did, but own way.
I think last season I just think last season, it was okay. You give him the benefit of the doubt because it was DeBoer's first season as Alabama's head coach. But you come into year 2 already with a smack on the face to, like we said, an FSU team who was not the best last year. That just kind of just raises concern. And don't get me wrong, DeBoer is a great coach. But for the legacy that Alabama just had under Nick Saban, I just don't think that he can match that. I think he left something very good at Washington. Like you said, Adam, he made Michael Penix just look incredible. He took them, to the national championship. He left that.
Or I'd say the other way around, but yes.
It could go both ways. It can go both ways. He goes to Alabama and just look, the SEC, in my opinion, is just different than how, whatever conference Washington was in at the time, the Pac-12 or,
before the Pac-12
conference they were at the time, the SEC is always just going to be the best. You could have that debate, the Big Ten or SEC. The SEC is the highest of the highest in college football, in my opinion,
Yep.
And
always
Alabama
has more first round picks come out.
Yes, and Alabama was just the highest of the highest team. They were the best team in the SEC. If you want to debate for a lot of years, despite that one year that LSU had where they went to the national championship with Burrow and all of them, but Alabama, majority of them years, they were that best team in the SEC. You're in a new day and age, and that's just not going to be matched for the time being, unless they can just find that magical thing that helped Alabama win. But not everybody can do what Nick Saban did. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
And you mentioned the new age too. Like we live in the NIL era too now. Like that's why I think Nick Saban retired. Just like he went from just being the dominant guy to just like, okay, I don't like because you can't create that culture. You don't have that trust, or like you can't create the players don't trust you as a coach the same way because they can just leave for $6 million and go across the country. So that's why I think Nick Saban got out. So I'll give Kellen DeBoer. I'll back him up a little bit and say, yes, it's a lot harder to build a culture and to do the things that Nick Saban did the way he did it.
And Nick Saban even came out and said he doesn't like what college football was turning into,
Exactly.
Like, Adam, a player can be upset and just go to another school. We look at Tennessee's quarterback from last year. I can't think of his name. He wasn't getting paid a lot.
Nico, let's call him Nico. I'll butcher his last name.
Yes. And what did Nico do? He went to UCLA for more money, and they got smacked on the face this weekend. So it's just crazy what the day and age.
And the UCLA quarterback went to his school.
It was just a trade, but we can all say that we know who kind of won the quarterback trade from. If in my opinion, we know who kind of won the quarterback trade.
The NIL has changed the game on how college football used to be to compare it to what it is now. The NIL is playing a huge factor in these players' mind. These players, when they come to these big schools, the first thing they talk about is the NIL deal, how much money that they make. Because now it's all about, oh man, I'm getting this much money. Let me go to this school. What happened to where it used to be like the best school for me, I'm gonna go to it regardless of the money. The NIL is what's spoiling these players because they know they can get more green out of these schools. But then when they can't play or they don't like the way things are going, then they go to another team. Y'all, as a player, you cannot sit here and depend on the NIL. And I don't blame Nick Saban for retiring because I would have done the same thing because it's not the same way on how college football used to be. And the NIL is a huge factor in that. These players are so brainwashed by the money, that's all they care about now. You got some players that want to play for these schools regardless of the money. And that's good. I applaud those players because they're actually focused on what school is best for them. But you got
the bigger schools, these bigger schools, I think players that go to them, they're just more worried about, okay, can I get how much money can I get and how much playing time can I get? And when they don't get that playing time, they're quick to go jump to another school.
Exactly.
When they don't get the money that they want, they're quick to go jump from another school. And like we said, Nico from Tennessee was quick to go jump to UCLA because what did he not get? Tennessee didn't give him the money that he wanted. And you see that sometimes it backfires and sometimes it works out for you. But that's just what happens with.
And like what did Nick Saban build? He built these dominant Alabama defenses. Yes, the offenses were good too. They had a ton of talent on offense, usually like one of the best running back prospects in the country. But he did it on defense, and he did it by everyone being held accountable. But like the entire culture now, like it's hard to hold people accountable. Like Ty Simpson didn't play bad. He had 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, but it was the defense, the Alabama defense, that's usually just this stalwart that you just can't run through. They just ran through it. Literally, their quarterback just ran through them, and made them look silly. So that was the biggest red flag for me, was just Alabama defensively, not offensively, just defensively.
Yeah, but you know, you just really just spoke 45 minutes of college football. I didn't even realize. But, closing out this college football segment, me and Michael will talk our HBCU football later today, actually after this. But jumping into the NFL, we're finally back. I had to take a little few days off after the Cowboys traded Micah Parsons. Not gonna lie, I was kind of hurt. I got his jersey under my bed. I don't know what to do with it no more, since we don't have him on the team. But yeah, just starting this week off, Cowboys Eagles. This is probably my now even more anticipated game because we don't have Micah Parsons. I kind of want to see what this defense looks like without him. The offense, they retained a lot of players. They even added new players, George Pickens, Booker, and through the draft. And the Cowboys coming into this game are actually pretty healthy for the first time. I looked at it earlier. They're really healthy coming into this game. But my most anticipated game, and I know I'm about to pass his mic off around, but Cowboys Eagles probably has to be my most anticipated game. And look, I'm gonna say this: we may not win, but I just want to get a good look at what this Cowboys team looks like, coming into the season, because I still think that maybe they can just barely finish over 500. I keep saying this. I think the Cowboys, after getting them first round picks from Green Bay, they got 4 of the next 2 years. So I kind of think the Cowboys are going to go into a slight rebuild, depending on how this season goes with them first round picks. But before I get back to my last team, I'm gonna pass this mic off around from teams that or games that y'all ready to watch. Adam, just what teams and what games are y'all ready to watch this season?
First of all, it's for week 1. I gotta say Seahawks, 49ers. 49ers coming into town. These teams hate each other. It's one of the most bitter rivalries in the NFL. I know people probably talk about many other rivalries much more than they talk about NFC West, but the Seahawks hate the 49ers. The 49ers hate the Seahawks. I'm just really excited to see if the Seahawks can live up to the defensive hype. I think they're going to have a crazy, crazy good defense this year. And more so just if the 49ers, if they actually look the same on offense after losing Debo. Jawan Jennings is banged up. So, they're really going to have to depend on second-year wide receiver, almost a rookie because he only played towards the end of the season, but Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle, and then, of course, CMC. But that's my first one. Secondly, it's the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know it's not like the sexiest matchup, but at the same time, I want to see Liam Cohen's offense as now the first-year head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now Trevor Lawrence, he already had Brian Thomas, but Trevor Lawrence was banged up. He had an offseason, but now he's got Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter in the Liam Cohen offense. I'm really excited to see if the Jaguars can actually build something this year. And then on the flip side, you got Bryce Young going into year 3, played really well to end the season. I want to see if he can build off that. They just traded Adam Thielen back to the Vikings. He gets to go back home to the Vikings where he played and lived many, many years of his NFL career. But to me, that says that's the biggest it's the biggest gift for Tetairoa McMillan, and just says how much they trust in Tetairoa McMillan to be that wide receiver 1 right off the bat. And yeah, now they're a little banged up, but they got Jalen Coker is out 4 to 6 weeks. So maybe a little premature on getting rid of Adam Thielen, kind of just bad luck the way that those 2 events coincided. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to watch that matchup. Ben, what about you? What are your favorite matchups for week 1?
Man, it's hard not to say that the week 1 matchup of the Jets versus Steelers at MetLife Stadium is not going to be one of my most look forward to things. And man, like that right there, can't even process it in my mind. I've been thinking about this game for so freaking damn long, and I will finally be able to watch it in person. And let me just say this first off. The moment Aaron Rodgers goes on his back in MetLife Stadium, I mean, that place is going to go ape wild. I mean, say what you want to say about, the season that we had last year, how it panned out, and obviously the nightmare of a year we had the year prior. Um, you know, Aaron Rodgers, you wish nothing but the best for him, coming off of a torn Achilles, and now he's on this new team. It's going to be the first time we see him with DK Metcalf in the mix there. I mean, they haven't even taken a preseason snap together. So that's going to be super interesting to see it, just everything kind of sort of come together right in front of us. I mean, it's week 1, guys. We're finally here. We're finally going to see, all of our favorite teams go at it. And then also from the Jets side, I'm really excited to see, obviously this Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields matchup pairing that I've been talking about all season. But, more importantly on the defense, I want to see, all these guys get involved as much as they can, whether it be Malachi Moore on the defense, we have a new Andre Cisco in the house on defense as well, a new safety right there. Some, kind of newer pieces here on defense, but then you got other guys who are also getting, definitely should be playing more this year, as like Jamie Sherwood, really strong linebacker core. So I'm really excited to see what Steve Wilkes does with this defense. And then, with Pittsburgh, like I was saying before, they drafted obviously Caleb Johnson. It's going to be his NFL debut. So happy to see that for him. Honestly, I have him in a couple of my leagues. Just don't tell anybody. But yeah, that goes for that for Steelers Jets. I will be there. So if anybody will see me at the game, don't be afraid to say hi. And the other game I'm honestly looking forward to this week 1 matchups that we have this upcoming weekend is Chargers Chiefs. And now the reason why I say that is that also, they also drafted a they also drafted a running back in Amari Hampton over in LA. So that's going to be super cool to see him paired up with Justin Herbert, seeing how that new offense looks. They also have a new regime in Harbaugh. So that's going to be the debut of that. That's going to be really cool to see. And then we also have on the Chiefs side of things, we're going to see how they stack up to this AFC West this year. I think that the Raiders are going to be better this year. Obviously, they still have the Broncos in that division. So we can't, count out the Chiefs every single year because they've made it to the playoffs every single year that Mahomes has been their quarterback. But at the same time, I think the Chargers, they have Keenan Allen back. That's going to be really cool to watch as well. And then they still have pieces on this defense with Khalil Mack. So we'll see how that game goes for week 1. But Michael, are there any games that you're looking forward to this week 1 Sunday, or perhaps any other games?
Yeah. First of all, I'm just so grateful to see week 1 is officially back. The NFL is officially back. It's, action packed, exciting plays, loud fan bases, just to see all the excitement coming back. It's so grateful to be back in different environments, just seeing the excitement of different fan bases and, celebrations. But one team, of course, y'all already know I'm going to start with the Saints and the Arizona Cardinals game. And I'm going to start off with that because, one, under Cullen Moore, his first official season as a head coach and his first, team to, just a new vision under him. I think it's going to be exciting just to see where we are as offense wise. I'd say what you want about us, win or lose this game. I'm just excited to see what Cullen Moore can give us because he's been an offensive mind. He's been on so many different teams. Deuce, he was with Dallas. I know when the announcement first came that he was a head coach for us, I specifically asked you because he's an offensive mind guy. And I asked you how he was as far as an offensive guy to count on. And, a lot of people have said positive things about him. Philadelphia fans have said positive things about him, even though he was only there for 1 year at Philly. Regardless, he did all that, got the Eagles to Super Bowl in 1 year. So, and then plus Spencer Rattler. Y'all know how high I am on this guy because I actually believe in this guy. I actually have confidence in this guy. I'm not saying that he's going to be the face of the franchise. I'm not calling that yet. But I believe that Spencer Rattler has the talent and the mobility to be that quarterback to depend on. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to, we don't know how week 1 is going to go. But I think, I think that, he's going to be real focused. I think he's going to be poised. He's already said he's ready to lead this offense. I believe it, but I need to see it. And there's a saying, don't believe it till you see it. And I'm ready to see what Cullen Moore and Spencer Rattler can give us on the offense, and then plus this new receiving core that we got. I think we've upgraded. We might not be the best receiver core in the NFL, but we definitely have some speed, agility in that receiving room. I can tell you that. So I just think that this game here is just going to be a lot of questions. At one, where is this offense under Cullen Moore? Two, how is Cullen Moore's mindset as a head coach, and is he the right guy for the job just starting week one? And then Spencer Rattler, is he the quarterback we can trust? And then I'm gonna switch to Arizona. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harris Jr. These guys, they're coming to the Big Easy, and it's gonna be an offense versus offense game. And I think that it's just going to determine that who has the best offense, and then plus who has the best defense. Because Arizona, don't get me wrong, they got a defense, and I just think this game is just really going to determine that which team has the best both sides of the ball in regards. And I'm gonna say this right now: if you're a Saints fan, you're watching this, be active in the dome, because the loudness, the crowd impact, it needs to come back, because regardless of win or lose this game, we need to hear that loud impact. We need Kyler Murray to go like this to where he can't hear what's going on, because we have not seen that. But that's basically all I can say about that. Now, my next team that I'm really excited to see, and it's division rivals, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Those guys can't stand each other. Really, now one of us in the NFC South can't stand either one of us. So this game is got Baker Mayfield. You got Michael Penix Jr. I think that game is going to be a very, very talented, very electrifying game. It's just really going to determine who's going to win their first division win in the NFC South. And I don't mean to be biased. I can't stand either one of these teams. But if I had to choose someone to win this game, I hate to do this, but I gotta go with the Falcons on this one, because I can't stand Tampa Bay. They talk too much trash, and Atlanta fans too. But Tampa Bay had won the division for 4 straight seasons, just like we did, because we were like that. And someone else needs to win this division. If it's not going to be us, it's going to either be the Falcons or the Panthers, somebody. So I really want to see Atlanta win this game. And I know Brandon, if he's still watching, I know he's definitely happy about that. Don't get me wrong, Brandon, I still don't like y'all. but I have to go with the Falcons on this one, guys.
I love it.
I know for me, rounding out that last team that I'm just excited. Oh man, I feel like this offseason, Cam Ward has not gotten the respect and the attention that he deserves. Yes, that is in part to Shador Sanders getting a lot of more media attention, but Cam Ward was number one overall pick for a reason. What he did at Miami was incredible. That is unmatched. Clearly, he was in the Heisman race. Unfortunately, he didn't win it. But, when a quarterback is in the Heisman race and goes number one, I believe that quarterbacks like that should get more attention. But the Broncos, Bo Nix only got more weapons. They already shocked the world last year with Bo Nix. I think this year they got more weapons on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Bo Nix is poised for success. And I keep saying this, the Broncos are a dark horse team that I think can really win the AFC, that has the best chance to compete with the Chiefs to win the AFC West. That's pretty much all I got to say. The tape and the highlights and the clips and the games, they speak for itself. Bo Nix is an amazing quarterback. And only time will tell how this season plays out. But jumping into our MLB segment.
Just real quick before we go to MLB, yeah. I just want to just in the Miami versus Notre Dame game, just real fast. So Carson Beck's been around forever, but Malachi Toney, I don't know if you guys just saw how much he was flashing in that game. On one drive, I think it was the first touchdown drive for Miami. He had like 3 catches, 50 yards, and the touchdown. And he's a true freshman too. So I hadn't heard much about him. So that was a guy that just opened my eyes. So I'm going to be watching Malachi Toney this entire season now. He just has like that natural ability to get open. Like Carson Beck was scrambling left, and then Malachi Toney just came out of nowhere and got open in the left side of the end zone for the touchdown. It's the type of things that you can't teach to a receiver. And then the other thing, I don't know if you guys know this, but CJ Carr is the Notre Dame quarterback now. I believe it's son of Derek Carr. Either way,
nice.
he is related to the Carr. Say it again.
I just said, oh, nice.
Okay, word. Yeah, I thought you knew if he was like nephew or something like that. But yeah, so there is another Carr. We just had Derek Carr retire, but now we've got CJ Carr, true freshman quarterback for the Notre Dame, and he looked poised. He looked really, really good. And the only other thing, because it might be the catch of the year and it was in week 1, CJ Daniels Jr. on Miami. It was Carson Beck was probably going to throw a pick. He looked like he overthrew it. There was a DB over top that was going to catch it. And CJ Daniels made an OBJ-esque catch with one hand. It looked insane. If anyone that's watching, if you haven't seen the highlight yet, go check that out because it was absolutely beautiful.
Bro. Odell Beckham style catch, bro. That's true. I've seen the highlight.
Insane.
And I keep saying that's why I love college football. I just loved it. I love the NFL, but I just think like the college football is just like it's different. You got all these rivalries, you got all these traditions, you got all these crazy things that happen, you got all these upsets that go on in college football. And I just think that something like that,
these like football families that come out of nowhere with like the next one in the next offspring in the line, basically.
I just love that even in college football, like we get like in the NFL, we hate our rivals, but in the college football world, man, they hate each other. I mean, I can't stand the fact like seeing LSU and Alabama fans go at it, Ohio State and Michigan fans going at it. Like it get real personal with college football. And you know, I'm all for it. I love college football. I'm glad that it's back. I'm glad that the NFL is back. I'm glad that football is just back in general. I feel like the offseason, which is long, and we were like even like talking about it, we were trying to scraping and inching for topics to talk about with football. Now I feel like that football is actually back. We can talk about it like this, like clockwork. You see that we already passed an hour just talking about football. That's just, it's just, I'm excited. That's just, I'm gonna put it that simple.
I'm gonna add one more in there. I'm gonna switch to NBC, Southern and Grambling. You know that them fan bases cannot stand each other. I remember.
At the Bayou Classic, I tell people this all the time. You can't pay me $1. You can't pay me $1 million to wear something that has SU Southern on it. I can't stand them. I can't stand their fan base. I can't stand their fans. But hey, you know, if you come to come to the better side. Come to Grambling State University. You know the better side.
Come down to school, bro.
And Michael, we're gonna talk about on the podcast later about this HBCUs. But
make sure y'all tune in for that.
Make sure y'all tune in for that because that did get a lot of views.
Adam, Benji, if y'all want to tune in, come on. I'm telling you, y'all.
I'll definitely listen in. Yeah,
I'll be checking it out.
So you actually watch it. I'm telling you.
But
where is that?
Jumping into our MLB, Adolis Chapman, Ben.
Yes, sir.
You know, he just got an extension. You know, for a 37-year-old closing pitcher, and who looks like he hasn't lost a step. Who's having an amazing season this year. We need some details and some insight on that extension.
I'm really proud of Chapman just as a player in general. I was kind of joked when he was on the Yankees that he was just my favorite Yankee of all time. Not because he gave up that homer to Altuve, but just because of his, his mannerisms and just, the smiles, the stare downs, and just the fact, his 105 heaters that he just throws like it's nothing. But Aroldis Chapman signs a 1-year contract for $13.3 million with the Red Sox. And it's a crazy, time period, even though he's 37, like you mentioned, because he's still having a career low 1.02 ERA. So he's getting it done on the mound. He's closing out games for Boston. I mean, he's been, reliable for how many years now? Not just on Boston, but like I've said, in New York. I believe did he play for
Cincinnati
Chicago? Yeah, Reds.
Reds
Gotcha.
was
I know
for
it
a
was a
long,
C
long
team.
time.
Yeah. So
You know what's
yeah,
crazy, man? I was looking
legend.
at the playoffs prediction or the playoff. If the season ended right now, the Yankees and the Red Sox would be playing round one right now.
Man, I'm telling you, man, the Red Sox. I mean, that's happened before recently as well too, and Boston took the cake, of course. But I mean, if the Yankees and Red Sox meet in round one, give me the Yankees, man. Not give me the Yankees that they're gonna win, but Boston wants New York. I can tell you that right now. We're not worried about them.
But Adam, we try to do this weekly, our power rankings. You want to go first, or do I want to go first? It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. I guess I'll go first real quick. Just knock it out. The Brewers finally came back to earth. They're still the number one team, but I think they're 5-5 in their last 10. It's like the first time that I've done a power rankings that they're not like 9-1 or 8-2 in their last 10 or just 10-0. There was definitely a week where they're just like on like a 12-game win streak or something like that. So they're still the number one team, but they look touchable now. Blue Jays, who I think they were just finished the series with the Brewers. Brewers still took 2 out of 3, but Blue Jays were able to get one. They just seem like this complete team. It gets so hard right here because like I want to put the Tigers at 2, I want to put the Phillies at 2, but for me right now it's the Blue Jays by a hair. But basically you could say like almost tied for second is the Tigers, and then the Phillies. Like I feel like the fourth is too low for them because they're just such a complete team. They just have this kind of feel and allure to them, aura, so to speak, around that team. Like, but just watching them when they swept the Mariners, like they look almost unbeatable when their offense is flowing with the pitching. So Phillies at 4, Dodgers at 5. Again, these top 5 teams are kind of just locked in these last few weeks for me. I got Cubs at 6, Astros at 7, Red Sox at 8, Yankees at 9. Red Sox and Yankees are literally deadlocked right now, tied record wise. Well, either way, they're tied. I think Red Sox have one more win, one less loss. But that's just semantics. And then after the Yankees, so I put the Mariners at 10. I know some people will give me some flack for that because Mariners have not been amazing lately. But I put them in front of the Padres because they won what was called the Vetter Cup. They're basically playing for like a trophy of a guitar. Eddie Vedder was like in the booth for one of the Mariners games, chopping it up with the commentators. But the Mariners swept. So it was based off the 2 series they played this year. The Mariners swept them earlier in the season 3-0, and then they were able to take 2 out of 3 this recent series. So to me, taking 5 out of 6 games from the Padres have a better record. So that's why I put the Mariners in front of the Padres. So that's why I had to put the Padres honorary 11th and then the Mets honorary 12th. I feel like these are the only top 12 teams that I think are going to have a chance at the World Series. If a team outside that top 12 wins it, I'll be very surprised. But I think legitimately, maybe not the Mets, but I think legit any of these 10 to 12 teams could win the World Series still.
Just not
It's
the
crazy.
Mets. Just not
It's
the
crazy.
Mets.
It's crazy, Adam, because our standings are like literally identical.
Identical.
Yeah, 1, I got the Brewers. 2, I give it to the Tigers. I still think that they're the best team. Right now in the AL. Blue Jays are just right behind them though. I think that loss to the Reds today kind of made me drop them a little bit because I had them at 2, but that loss was like, okay, I'll just put them at 3 for this week. But like you said, this changes every week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I give the Blue Jays 3. 4 would be the Phillies. 5 would be the Dodgers. 6 would be the Cubs. 7, I actually give it to the Padres. I'm high on them. I don't know why. I think there's weeks where they look incredible, and then there's just some games where they just look off. But I think when it comes down to it, they know how to close these games out and win. 8 would be the Astros. I keep saying it's crazy how they were literally in my 1. They were 1 for a good while in the month of May and June, but they dropped.
And they just got Yordan Alvarez back, so that's a huge bat. That's their best bat back in the lineup now.
And it's going to be interesting to see how that division plays out because, I mean, the Mariners are right behind them and the Rangers are starting to heat back up late in this season. So it'll be interesting to see how, that division closes out. 9, I give it to the Yankees. 10, the Red Sox. I was so, didn't know who was 9 or 10 because, these teams are just identical in records, standings. Judge just came back for the Yankees. The Yankees, like I told you, the Yankees they were on a winning streak for a good little minute, or they've been on a little winning streak for a minute. 10 would be the Red Sox, 11 the Mets, 12 the Mariners. And I keep saying this with the Mariners, I'd be so conflicted on where to put them because right now they're in the playoffs, but I think there's just games that just don't go their way, and it hurts them versus other teams. I think there's some games that the Mariners should have won and they lost, and there's just games that the outcome could have came differently. 13, right behind them is the Rangers. Like I said before, the Rangers, they've been on a tear recently. They just won their first, they just had their first away sweep against the Athletics. Athletics may not be the best team, but the Rangers are starting to heat back up. They're over 500, I believe. I think it's 3 or 4 games over 500. I have to look at that. 14 would be the Royals, and then 15 would be the Reds. I know normally I normally do a top 10, but I was just like, man, this week I just feel like 15 teams. There's 15, or like you said, Adam, there's 12 legitimate teams that can win the World Series, and there's 3 teams right behind that I think can make a shot at the postseason. So I just said, go ahead and why not do my top 15? But MLB season, it's September, so we kind of got 1 month till October. Adam, do you just got anybody you think can make a strong push for the World Series?
I mean, I'll give it the homer pick. If the Mariners can round back in the form with their bats, they got the pitching to do it. Suarez is starting to look like the acquisition that the Mariners wanted. Naylor's been nails since we got him. So I'll throw the Mariners in that mix, but can't ever rule out the Yankees as much as you guys like to.
Adam, it's crazy because I love how earlier in July we were debating about the Yankees, and it took me like 2 weeks to realize okay, the Yankees, you can just never count them out. Even as much as I don't like them, you can't count them out because, like I said in the pod last week or the week before, when the Yankees get to the playoffs, I feel like they know what to do. They know how to win and they know how to succeed in the playoffs just because they go to the playoffs literally every year. So that's a team that you just can't count out. And it's crazy because I was looking at the standings. The Yankees are only 3 games back of the Blue Jays. And it was crazy because it just felt like last week or 2 weeks ago, they were 8 games back. But that's just how quick. That's just how quick that stuff can happen. But closing this out, Adam, you got your pregame show that starts next week, I believe, right? If you want to get some insight on it to the fans.
Yeah, most definitely appreciate it. Yeah, that's good. So it's going to be called Adam's Apples. It's going to be my weekly love-hate column, and then I'll also have weekly rankings that I'll try to post as visual aids as I talk. But I would love to do a question and answer. So anyone that can join me, if you got any questions about your lineup, who to start, who to sit, matchups, anything, I'll be dialed in. It's going to be, like I said, every Sunday before the early slate of games. So for me, it's going to be about 9:30 a.m. Pacific time to about 9:55, right before the early slate games actually start, or do the time conversion math based off your time zone. But hope to see you there. Should have a few guest hosts sneaking in and out. Maybe Ben some weeks, maybe not. But yeah, very excited for it. And come get your lineups dialed in with me every Sunday.
And I know for me, I am converting my pregame show into Red Zone Recap. That's what it's going to be called because, me and Michael will be doing that show together. But, we have to, me, Michael, and one of a really good friend of mine that y'all haven't probably met in person or fully yet, but he'll be on the show. But it has been converted to a weekly recap. Probably after the first slate of games, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be recapping, the first slate of games, and then I'll be doing a look into the afternoon slate and the night games and the Monday Night Football. I'll have guests in and out, but the unfortunate thing is it probably won't be weekly because y'all do know I am in the band, so I am occupied. And unfortunately, it won't start next week because I will be in Ohio for the Grambling versus Ohio State game. But like I said, tune into Adam's Apples. It's going to be something that y'all don't want to miss. And like you said, he will have guests in and out. And a lot of people, I think y'all should really get in start getting in tune and start getting in par with that, because it should be really good. But closing out this segment, as always, like I say, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. You know, our YouTube is growing as the days go on. I look and we get another subscriber each day. We're at 109 right now, I believe. And
Yeah.
right now, the goal
Shout out to
is
D Wade too, man.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout
Shout
out
out
D
to D
Wade.
Wade, because he did comment on one of our collab posts with the Lakers room, who is also a very good friend of ours and a very, very good also I like to call him another special guest. We love his content. Always check it out. Yeah, stuff. He posts Lakers stuff basically every day, and it's really good content. He comes on the
he's a
show
great
every now and then.
storyteller.
So yeah. So just check out his stuff. Also check out the sports nut stuff. You know, a lot of this stuff that we have now, and a lot of the reason our name is kind of out is kind of due to them. So I would like to say, you know, check them out too. We always like to shout out our collaborators and everybody that we collab with, because that's who we are inside the locker room. But like I say, as always, like, comment, subscribe, do all that on our socials. I know Adam has been running the TikTok account. He's been posting stuff on there, and then the YouTube. This video will be posted on YouTube shortly after after we're finished recording, or tomorrow morning. But also just stay tuned for the Instagram clips and make sure y'all are reposting them, all of that. And also make sure you check out me and Michael's HBCU content, because we have really been ramping that up. That has been getting a lot of views, and that has been getting us a good amount of subscribers. But closing this out, stay safe. All love from inside the locker room, and y'all have a good day.
Peace out.